Okay, guys, welcome back into the B-Dub Bros podcast, episode number 2. We're going to be reacting to, of course, NCAA tournament. We've got the Final Four coming up this weekend. Had one decent Elite Eight game and a couple others that we will react to that did not quite live up to the hype. I'll introduce my brother, my second in command, my other host to the show, Logan, back in with us.
What's going on, guys? How's it going? Two dads, two bros. Let's do a podcast.
Living the dream. We are
That's right.
back at it. Elite Eight happened this weekend. Of course, we had some interest in one of the games that went on, but first we'll start with the craziness that was probably the best game we've had all tournament. Florida pulls one out of their hat thanks to poor coaching, poor clock management, and Michael Clayton Jr. being maybe the best player in the country that doesn't play for Duke. What'd you think about finally the game that we were all waiting for?
I still am not sure how Florida won, but they did. And I still think they can win it all. It was finally a good game. It took the Elite Eight to get there, but finally had one. And then we got, well, I won't say that. I'll save that for a few seconds. Yeah, we finally got a good game, and I really thought there was going to be an upset, and nope, not quite. So,
yeah, first time since 2008 we get all 4 1 seeds to the Final Four, which is, I mean, all in all, it ended up being kind of the Elite Eight Final Four that we were looking for. We didn't get there in the way that I think a lot of people hoped. The games were not what we hoped for, but Final Four, we're still hoping that, okay, these are the 2 best matchups, should be the 2 best games. We'll see. I think Duke's really good. Houston, obviously, a team we'll talk about.
Defensive juggernauts. So hard to score on. Well, for certain teams, they're so hard to score on.
Yeah, we will jump into that game, but first we'll go through. Auburn gets the job done. They look solid. They do what they do.
Yep.
Michigan State, I think, was, in a lot of people's opinion, probably my opinion, the weakest of the 2 seeds. And Auburn just played better. It was
nothing special there. Auburn did what they did, and it worked again.
And then you go over to the Duke-Alabama game, a game I think we all thought was maybe the best matchup. And Alabama showed, unfortunately, that because of the lack of defensive efficiency they play with, if they're not shooting well, you just can't win teams that are that good.
I was quite surprised. I thought it was going to be a really good game. I don't think it was ever a good game. Was it? I mean, Duke immediately jumped out and never looked back. I don't know if it was ever really that close.
Duke jumped on them early, and Alabama just shot it horribly. They never.
Yeah, which makes me feel really good about my pick because that's who I have winning our family bracket. So still going strong there.
Yeah, Duke was one of those teams that we wondered about because of how bad the ACC was this year. But
yeah, that was my biggest worry coming into this tournament.
They have beat everybody so soundly and proven that they are obviously one of the best teams in the country, and not just Cooper Flagg. I mean, he's been efficient, had some good games in the tournament, but they're just good. I mean, they're just one of those teams that you watch play and you can tell that John Shire doesn't really have to do a lot. He's a good coach, I think, but doesn't really have to do a lot. They're just really efficient.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the last game, the one that we were the most interested in, a record-breaking day for Tennessee against Houston. 15 first-half points, broke the record for an Elite Eight game since they've been seeding the fewest points in a first half.
Why? what do Tennessee fans deserve to keep being part of history over and over again in bad ways?
That's not
what
they
do
made.
what do we got to do, man?
I've got another stat for you that I'll give you in a minute. But yeah, it was one of those games you mentioned Houston playing really good defense. But I think what they did, which was really smart, is they closed the lane down, did not let Tennessee get inside, and said,
Yep.
You beat us shooting the basketball or you're not going to beat us. And Tennessee did not do it. They could not make anything.
They replaced the basketball. It was weird. It was so weird. I don't know if anyone else noticed, but every time Tennessee got the basketball, it transformed into a lawn chair. And every time they shot it, it was just missing terribly. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I mean, I don't think did Tennessee. Well, how many threes did they make? 2, 3, maybe.
They made 4 in the last, I think, 4 minutes. Leading up to that, I think they had made 1.
Yeah, incredible. They were just. It was literally looked like. I mean, they might as well have thrown lawn chairs because they were that bad at bats. The shooting was horrible.
The one they made was the Zakai at the end of the half to get them to 15 and cut the lead to, I don't know, what was it, 14 or 15?
How pitiful.
Yeah.
Truly a pitiful performance there. But it didn't feel pitiful. It felt like the shots weren't really going down. But as the game went on, you realized, okay, they don't have it today, and Houston is just going to do whatever they want, and they're going to get whatever they want, and that's exactly what happened. Houston showed up, and Tennessee decided to play with lawn chairs instead of basketballs, and it didn't work out for them.
I think this is those games that if you watched it, maybe you get a little bit more context. That credit to both teams. First, Tennessee, they did not quit. They got it to 10 a couple of times in the second half, and you felt like, okay, maybe here's a chance. And then credit to Houston. Every time Tennessee got where it felt like they were about to make a run, they would hit a huge shot and just crush Tennessee over and over.
Houston, and imagine if Tennessee
ever seen.
And imagine if that game was close. If Tennessee had got it close and it was, 55-60 going 3 minutes left. We would be talking about how great Tennessee's defense played with holding Houston to 60 points.
Yeah, I mean,
no one cares about that. Who cares? Because you scored 15 points in the first half. It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, it's one of those games that, as a Tennessee fan, if you're watching it, you're thinking they were like 12 minutes away from having a chance in this game. But unfortunately, it was the first 12 minutes of the game where you just all of a sudden, I mean, it's like, okay, it's 7-2. Okay, it's 15-2. Okay, it's 27-6. What happened? And then, what do you do at that point? There's not much you can say after that.
It felt like there was still a chance. That whole first half, it felt like there was a chance, but then you kept looking at the scoreboard and there was no points being scored.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
And then you get in the second half and it just never I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
To your point, it's those that you look up as a player for Tennessee and you're thinking, we're only down 12, we're only down 14, it's basketball. But when you're playing a team like Houston, you might as well be down 25 or 30.
Exactly. It felt like that.
And it
felt
did.
like that. Yeah. Yeah, it felt like they might as well have been down 30, 35 points because it felt like that for sure. Never once did I think Tennessee was going to come back. I think there's a period there for a minute I think they cut it to 10 or 8 maybe one time.
They got it to 10, and then Meshack inside, I think he gets fouled with a chance to cut it to 8, misses, almost makes an and one, could have cut it to 7, misses that one, he turns around and misses both free throws. You're still down 10. That's kind of where it felt like It's
That,
just not going to happen.
yeah, that was and I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to be the guy to say, well, we're waiting on what Rick Barnes is going to fail, when he was going to let us down. And I don't want to be that guy, but gosh, man, a team with so much history, so many NCAA appearances, never a single Final Four. I mean,
Yeah, it's this
wild.
one's
When
tough.
it
I think.
is it gonna happen? We got to start asking that question. Is it gonna happen? And is Rick Barnes gonna get us there?
Well, I
Um,
appreciate you mentioning that because that brings me to my stat of the day that I have here. So Tennessee, I mentioned record breaking. This is another record breaker that they've got. Tennessee now tied with Xavier for the most NCAA tournament wins at 31 without reaching a Final Four.
Incredible.
So,
But isn't that the Tennessee way though, to have some random stat like that
of
in
course,
for your school? Tennessee has. If you go and look it up, if you're a fan, hey, fans, I'm gonna give you a little tidbit here. If you are a Tennessee hater, if you're a Vol hater, just go look at obscure facts about the University of Tennessee, obscure stats, and you can rile any Tennessee fan up like that. I tell you, there are a million of them. It is crazy how many. And I'm sure every school has it. I'm sure every school feels like they have it, but I promise you, Tennessee has it. I promise you, Tennessee has a weirder, obscure fact that is looks bad on them in the history of whatever sport it is versus a good stat. I promise you. It is wild. Every year they set some sort of strange record that's like uh, any major sport, they're going to do it.
for
It
sure.
is a strange curse that has been set upon the land of orange. Uh,
And last thing, kind of about the Tennessee, the game itself. This is one thing that I don't know if you thought about this during the game, but as Tennessee's kind of struggling, I kept thinking, you know what, that Kentucky game was really nice, but if
mhm.
you just play that game once in the regular season, you don't have to play Houston today, and it's a completely different matchup. And
Yeah,
I kept thinking about that. If you play a good game against Kentucky, you're a 1 seed and you don't have to play Houston. So,
it's true. That's why the regular season still matters,
yes, you showed
at
up
least for now.
against Kentucky, but turns out those regular season games, like you said, they still matter a little bit because that changes everything. You go out and you're probably playing Michigan State, and it's a completely different game.
But to reel it back a little bit, teams like Florida and Auburn, who I thought were going to struggle eventually, they've got it done. They kept steady, and now look at them. They're in the Final Four, and good on them. I really thought one of them was going to stumble. Not so much Florida. I thought Florida was probably. I have them in my national championship game, but um, they looked like they could have lost it a couple times, and they found a way. And Auburn, they just they don't even look bothered.
Yeah,
They look unbothered right now. They
surprisingly,
just floated their way to the Final Four, and
Florida,
it's like, man,
yeah, the team that came in with kind of the most momentum has really had the biggest struggles throughout. Of course, it feels like they really got the hardest draw of the four teams left. But
yeah,
to your point, Tennessee is right there on the cusp of being one of those kind of quote unquote blue blood teams. But according to Ken Palm, I don't know if you've seen that stat, Ken Palm rankings, these are the four best teams ever in the Ken Palm rankings, and they all made it to the Final Four. So these are literally, according to the stats, the four best statistical teams since they've been keeping track.
well,
Makes sense
good
that they'll get there.
good on them. Good on them. For everyone who thought this was a great tournament and enjoys what's happening. Good. That's a stat you can hold on to because everyone else thought this was a very boring tournament or ready for it to be over. At least that's my opinion.
I think
uh,
a lot of that, but if we get a couple of good games this weekend, it'll be nice. At least we'll have something fun to watch.
sure, I'll be watching them. I'll have them on, but I this has been a pretty boring tournament, man. there's not a lot of things that I'm going to pull from this year in my memory bank of, hey, remember this, this is going to go down as a year, and I said this last week too. I think it still stands. It's gonna go down as a year where we're gonna say, "Oh, who won that?" Not, "Oh, that was a great tournament."
Yeah, I'm with
But
with
we have
that.
those years. They can't all be, Louisville, Chicago, and uh, whoever. Um,
Mr.
what's
Gene
the
on the court making plays.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So
So with that being said, we'll wrap up kind of the tournament part of the show. Final four, who you got? You kind of led into your bracket picks of Duke, Florida. Are you still feeling comfortable with those picks, or what are you
for
thinking?
sure, yeah, I think Florida. Yeah, I think Florida's gonna. They could. I think they could mop the floor with Auburn. I mean, they did it already, didn't they? Um, Not that I don't know if it'll happen again, but I think they could. I think they could for sure. And Duke, man, they look really good. That being said, Houston has surprised me. I personally thought they were just skating through an easy schedule, but here they are, making it to the Final Four. Number one seed. Um,
Longest win streak in the country from Houston. They'll put that on the line this weekend.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's.
that's a good point. Uh,
I think you can see either four of those teams at this point probably can win it all. Either four of them can probably get blown out if they don't, if they're not shooting well, if you don't play the right defense situationally. And we've seen so many kind of coaching errors too throughout the tournament that it's something is going to go somebody's way and you're going to say, dang, they just blew it. I feel like at some point throughout these next couple, you're going to feel like, okay, these teams are all good. They all deserve to be here. But
yeah,
I think it's going to come down to a player coach type of mistake where it changes the dynamic of one of these games.
yeah, yeah. So I guess I'll put it this way. In order of most confident to win this weekend, I will say Florida, Duke, Houston, Auburn. Um, and I guess I'll go that same order of confidence in winning a title. If you told me right now who you think would win between Florida and Duke, I would say Florida, but
So
I do
really,
have Duke winning it all, and I think I very well could have it. At least in my bracket, I did. Not to mention that again.
it feels like if that's the game we get, it's going to be really fun. I think that will be a very highly rated matchup if that's what we get, Florida Duke. It's two really, I hate to give Florida any compliments about anything, but two
Oh
really
yeah,
good
I'm
fan bases, two
true.
teams that have basketball history. I think probably for money reasons, that's the best matchup you get. And
Yeah,
if
I
you
agree.
in Auburn, it's kind of like, okay, sure.
Yeah, well, Auburn has a great fan base. They travel well, everything like that. But they're not Florida. Come at me, bro. They're not Florida. Uh, and yeah, I think you're right. I think I think they would. I think a Duke and Florida matchup would bring the most viewership. Um, but who cares about that, right?
That's true. And moving on kind of from who cares about championships, I got a team from Tennessee that won a championship last night. I don't know if you watched this.
Yes, I did. The
You,
half court shot at the buzzer. Did you see that? At the
you
second half,
pulls
that was
really a fun basketball game. You mentioned the half court shot that goes in. UTC's down late. They foul a 3-point shooter, get a
yeah,
free throws to come in, have a chance to win it in regulation. They blow it. And then
yeah,
UC got a chance to a wide open layup at the buzzer, and they just
yeah,
alligator arm it. And just how
yeah,
horrible of a feeling that must be. But Hey,
Oh,
it's
I can't imagine. Yeah,
yeah,
that was some good, fundamental, fun basketball right there. That was the kind of stuff we've been looking for in
that's
the
what we're
tournament.
waiting for is a game like
And
that.
man, UTC of all places, that was cool. Good for them, and what a cool little thing to have, in your for your school, and just a good for us, a good local, fun little.
Yeah, for context, when we tell people where we're from, you basically say we're from the Chattanooga area because nobody
Yeah,
knows where we're actually from. So UTC,
exactly. And
Tennessee,
then yep,
that
and when I tell people where I live now, I say between Chattanooga and Nashville. So, yeah, it's cool for a little, you know, um, for that little place to have that. That was pretty cool. And they were unranked in the tournament, right? Or not un. They were.
they had 9 losses on the season and run through the NIT to get the championship.
Yeah,
A big
yeah.
of them.
And UC Irvine was the one seed, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. That's awesome. That's basketball for you. That's old school fundamental, you know, uh, Cinderella story basketball that we all hope for. But unfortunately, for D1, I think NIL has killed that. So I'm sure we can make that a topic if we if we haven't already on your little listy there.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely one of those that I think we'll see. Kind of the first thing you say when you kind of mention that is like, I don't know if you remember when John Morant was at Murray State and played in the tournament as
yeah.
back when he was kind of just a nerdy kid. That
Mm,
stuff. I think you're right. I think you start seeing those players that are super talented get plucked, and you
hmm.
see it. You're gonna. I
You
think
will.
opportunities you're gonna see is maybe those guys come in and as freshmen and overperform as young guys before they go to a bigger
For
school.
sure.
So that's where maybe the upsets stay. But yeah, I mean these big schools they're just getting good at finding these players, and they're
Yep.
gonna they're gonna
Well, I
take them.
mean, Dalton Connect is a perfect example.
Yep.
And then, I mean, he's probably the best example over the past couple of years. Look what he's doing in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
Uh, an incredible player. But yeah, I think the days of that are gone. I just don't know if we're gonna see that anymore. If we're gonna see a a team you've never you have to Google where they're from making a run.
Yeah.
I don't know. Unfortunately, I think that's a side effect of the NIL era. And, these, like you said, these guys in these small schools are transferring, and they're going to go to bigger schools. And you may see more number one seeds making the Final Four. And how many times? I meant to ask you, do you know when the last time that happened was?
All 4 1 seeds was
Hmm.
2008.
Yeah. So call me a conspiracy theorist, but that seems hand in hand with the NIL era. That just shows how hard it was to happen
It's
before
a
then, and now you just have loads.
Yeah, you're definitely seeing it. I think the one thing that you will see is not necessarily the small schools, but you'll see some of these middle of the pack, big power four, power five schools will throw the bag and get one of these super talented guys to transfer out. And that's where I think you'll see some of these maybe like 6, 7, 8, 9 seeds making runs. But
Right.
I think you're probably right with the 12 and higher. It's just so tough, but you're still going to get one of these guys that you've never heard of that makes 8 threes in a game, and you beat
You
somebody.
never know. You never
It's
know.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
and that's why we'll come back next year and watch it again, because you just never know.
yeah. Okay, so moving on, I did write down just a couple of notes within the kind of the Tennessee sporting community. The first one is just a few minutes ago, I saw Tennessee already picking up a transfer for the next basketball season. The Maryland
Oh,
guard, Jacoby Gillespie, he is
okay.
in, so that's a big get. He was
I
much
did a big get.
so that's nice. And then I don't know if you saw this, similar to moving into the new year for Tennessee, the football. We've got Mike Keith coming in, of course, the get
right.
of.
That was super cool. I mean,
I don't know if you saw this. They announced that Ramon Foster is going to be his color commentator for the new year.
oh
Which
wow, that's a great get.
yeah,
That's gonna be great. They're gonna be awesome together. I have not heard that. That is cool news.
yeah.
That
So
makes me very happy. That is
he's obviously he played under Fulmer. He's a
for
Tennessee
sure. Yeah.
defensive lineman, part of the community. He's worked with Titans radio over in.
Right, and he's great on our local stations here. Yeah, I love. Yeah, he's gonna be. Yeah, he's gonna fit right in. That's a great duo. I like that. That's cool. Yeah, I
And
did
then
not know that.
they did confirm Jason Swain. He's still going to be part of that group. And
Okay,
Brent Hubbs, everybody knows Brent Hubbs if you follow Tennessee
for
sports of
sure.
any. He's going to be on the broadcast as well, doing sideline stuff, I think. So it is
Wow. Well,
the
that's a.
best college football radio commentating team that you can find.
Oh man, that's a heck of a team. I mean, we all know those names here, but yeah, that's a great, that's a great team. Yeah, I like that.
It just
Maybe
just
that'll
be more excited about the upcoming football season.
for
I
sure.
can't wait to hear Mike Keith. I can't wait to hear him do basketball too. He's going to be so good and
Oh
everything
man,
that he
yeah,
does.
yeah.
But
Well, he was just so good with the Titans. It was bittersweet for sure. I don't know. I mean,
percent.
you know, but to I couldn't have thought of anyone else when Bob retired. I mean, it was an obvious choice for I think everyone. Um, and it's gonna be I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be so nostalgic yet so new,
Yeah.
and he's gonna bring something so much different, but it's gonna be great. He does have some John Wardisms, and some Bob Kessling isms, I guess you could say, but he's his own thing, and it's going to be so good. I am so excited. I just
Yeah.
wonder what his tagline is going to be.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear what he pulls out, what new he brings. Of course, we're all going to be waiting for the sack call that he's.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. I wonder if he'll do that. I assume he would. Surely he would.
Why get
Um,
rid of it is my opinion, but we'll see. I mean, he could change it up. For anybody that is not familiar with Mike Keith, go the easiest clip, just go plug in the Music City Miracle, that call. That's Mike Keith. That
oh
is
man. Even
it's
if you're not a
yeah,
yeah, even if you're not a Titans fan, even if you're not a uh, even know Mike Keith, he's just got a voice that you could pumps you up. You
yeah,
listen to some of these other guys out there, and they're beloved because they've been around forever, but they're boring. Mike Keith is not boring. He will get you fired up. Even if you're not a Titans fan, you will listen to that broadcast because of Mike Keith. He'll make it interesting and he's going to make it exciting. And he makes every game feel like it matters. And even at the lowest points, even last season, he would make games sounded like they mattered.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's going to be definitely bittersweet, like I said, for to leave the Titans, but to go to the Vols, yeah, count me in. I'm excited.
I mean, literally for kind of backstory, for context, Mike Keith is literally the only voice the Tennessee Titans organization has ever had. He has been the voice since they came to Tennessee, even when they were still playing in Memphis, I think,
Mhm.
over when they were still kind of the Houston Tennessee Titans, the crossover. So yeah, he is the guy, and a Tennessee guy, went to Tennessee, the UT Tennessee, the college. So he's going to be perfect. He's great. So exciting. Gives us a little bit of something to be excited for football season. And
Question is, who did the dumpster fire of the Tennessee Titans select? Have they selected anyone? I haven't heard.
they did. Well, they have, I think, settled it between a couple of commentators, and I would have to look it up. I'll report back on that. I can't remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Both of them are guys that are well known in the community, but
Okay,
as
local guys. I would assume they would be local guys, probably radio guys anyway.
them are local guys. Actually, they're well known in the kind of the commentating
Oh,
community.
okay.
But I think one of them is a current voice of a different NFL team, and then one of them does some other commentating. I think one of them may work with the Golf Channel actually. So I'll have
Oh,
to
okay. Okay.
report back on that. I can't remember who it is, but
Interesting. All right.
yeah.
Well, as long as we don't get some boring East Coast guy from somewhere who makes it sound like I'm listening to a 30s MLB broadcast, I'll be fine.
Yeah, it
That's
would be.
something that always got me traveling up the East Coast or whatever, listening to random stations of NFL games. You get these guys. I guess it's just a thing in that part of the country where it's just so bland and boring and matter of fact, and it's just give me some southern, wild, that's what Mike Keith was. He was so professional but wild at the same time. Everything was so exciting
Yeah,
when he called it. So yeah, give me some of that and I'll be fine.
100%. Okay, what else you got? Anything else before we move into our kind of wrap up segment for the week? Anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, no, any news going on that I find particularly interesting right now. So
I
um,
did do just a quick touch base. I know Tennessee had their spring game that people in
yeah, I
person.
thought we were going to talk about that, so I didn't mention it. But yeah.
Yeah, they just a couple of things that I've heard coming out of
Hmm.
it. Braylon Staley, really good. He's a
Huh?
hard worker. I expect him to be a big contributor this year.
Yep.
David Sanders, apparently he is a pro as a freshman.
Yeah.
He's the guy that everybody sounds impressed with. So interested to see where that goes. If he kind of ends up being the guy in year one, or if he settles in as a swing tackle kind of guy. But everybody sounds impressed with him. Sounds like
So.
what they were hoping for out of the big
Mhm.
position they're getting right now. Can you stay healthy? Can you make the catches on the field when it matters? We'll see. But it sounds
Right.
like we are hearing good things from the positions of need.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything particularly bad about anything in general. The rumors I've heard most often are the receiving core is really impressive, and Nico is seems to be more comfortable and more commanding than he was already
Yeah,
last
and
season. So um,
looking, he's a
I don't know what that. I mean,
little
how
bit.
much can you read into that? But
Do you notice that about Nico? He obviously added some more weight this offseason,
oh
but
yeah, he looks yeah.
really
Oh
feel
yeah,
that it feels like he's settling into his own, which is what he's
yeah.
meant. What you're hearing from the coaches, it feels like he, like you said, is taking command. This is his team. It's nice to hear that because we all, as fans, kind of thought that he could do that, and it's nice to hear that it
Yeah,
feels
for sure.
from the team.
Um,
Well,
even though he's been in this program for a little while, it seems like he's finally comfortable. So maybe that's going to translate to better decision making and more. You know, um, he can only go up from here. His ceiling is so high, and we don't want to start the whole. Uh, is this guy good enough talk? But uh, he Man, being the starting quarterback for Tennessee is leads to a lot of expectations really fast, and we'll see what he brings this season because this guy had so many expectations. I mean, that was the talking point for 2 years now. How how many expectations this guy has and still has, and is he living up to it? And I mean, it sure sounds like he's at least looks like it. Um, so we'll see.
absolutely. We will definitely see. It's feels like it should be closer, but for me, I've got Masters coming up next week, so it's the perfect time of the year. And if the weather was better, it might feel a little bit better, but we're moving into kind of the best as far as off-season sports, the best season that you can get. So drafts coming up, we're gonna talk
Right.
about
Yep.
into it. Shador had and Travis Hunter, their pro day today. They're getting out there showcasing. Tines were out there, of course. It feels like at this point, that's both of those guys are maybe we'll see if something crazy happens. Maybe they go to the Titans, but Titans are doing their due diligence. We'll see what happens there. But it feels
sure they are. Sure, they're good.
It feels like
They're drafting Cam Ward, and it seems to be buttoned up and tied up and ready to go in the envelope.
I think
At least that's what everybody makes it out to be.
Yeah,
of course, we've been wrong before.
It sounds like they're saying to somebody, "Come get it if you want it, but if not, we're happy where we are," kind of a thing.
Well, that makes me sad because that is not what I want. You know me. I think I made my point. I think prove me if I'm wrong, tell me. But I think you are on the Cam Ward bandwagon for the most part.
I have moved into the Cam Ward bandwagon. I also, early on in the process, had talked myself into Shador, so I was completely fine with him coming in. I think that he is probably the most currently polished of the two, but it seems
I agree with that.
Moved into Cam Ward, so I would have been happy with Shador as well. But I mean, when you need a quarterback that bad, it's hard to say, well, go draft the best player, which is Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, and it's hard
I just don't understand. I don't understand what drafting a rookie quarterback is going to get for this team. That's what drives me insane.
I'll tell you
People are acting like it's an obvious choice, and it's to me the obvious choice is trade number one, get pieces, pick up one of these 35 veteran quarterbacks that were out there for the past 4 months, and limp along to the playoffs, and then get your guy. Or maybe in the later rounds get your guy. I get it. You don't have this opportunity very often to get
rounds. Get your guy tries a couple times already.
Exactly. You're right. But I get it. You don't get this opportunity very often. This could be a generational talent. He could be, quarterback of the future. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. It doesn't do you any good if he's playing behind cardboard boxes and homeless guys. It's nonsense to me. I don't know how you're going to expect this guy to come in and make this team good because you got rid of all your talent in the offseason. So what do you have now? Jeffrey Simmons and that's it? What do you? I mean,
it's one of those teams that you still look at and say it's not the full skeleton, but you've got some good bones, and you're gonna have to. I think you got to get lucky with pick 35. I know
isn't that a country song? If the bones are good or something, I don't know.
I just wrote a perfect country song.
You sure did. Yeah. Well, the bones is all there is in Nashville right now. It's a bunch of bones.
That intellectual property. I'm going to claim that one for myself. But yeah, I know.
Man, I just don't know.
Well, but there's talks of course, James Pierce is maybe the worst human that's ever lived. So he's going to drop to 35. If he's there at 35.
Yeah, I hear about that. He's got.
You better take him. If what's the guy from Missouri, Luther Burton? If he drops 1,000%, you better take him if you're the Titans. Yeah. I don't know if he gets that far, but he's one of those guys that's super talented. Apparently, he's just not a practice guy. He's kind of he's a gamer, but doesn't practice.
Yeah, I did hear that. At Missouri, he was like that. I heard that was a thing for him. He really was one of those guys who just went out and got it done. But nah, coach, I'm not much for practice.
But I
It's
remember that
okay, I guess. Good
we've heard
luck.
from a couple of guys that we really look back fondly on. We heard this about Josh Dobbs was not a
Hmm.
guy, and we heard that about Hendon Hooker, who that was the reason why he didn't get the job over our boy Rocket Arm initially. So,
Hmm.
and it happens. You get those guys that they've just never had to be an adult before, and you got to kind of learn how to be a professional and practice and take your
Yeah.
craft seriously. And those guys, I think, will learn. They're talented enough. James Pierce, I think he's not one that I worry about as much because I haven't heard anything actually
Well, that was never a thing at
prove.
Tennessee.
Yeah,
So I'm not really sure. I mean, maybe he's just not giving good interviews. Maybe he's got a
that's what.
bit of a big head right now. I don't know what it is.
And I think people took. I don't know if you remember at the combine when he ran his 40, he forgot his compression shirt, so he ran in a hoodie. I think people kind of took that as, oh, he's not prepared. This is a big deal. How do you forget something like that? I think the little things are kind of scaring. Well, that's the rumors, of course. It's lying season in the NFL, so who knows where he actually
Who
falls.
knows, man? I mean,
12. But if
if
either of those guys drop to 35, it's easy money for the Titans. You got to take one of them for sure.
that's the thing, if you are talented and you're good, you're gonna play. So it's talking season right now. That's what we call it, talking season. Um, will they'll the guys that are popular and scouted and all that are going to get drafted, and then we'll find out who had a good draft and who didn't, and it's all talk right now. You just never know.
Yeah,
Every year, this guy that comes out and is like, "Oh man, we my team was right there and could have got him," and it's like, well, no one thought he was going to do what he's doing. So
it's true. Yeah, completely agree. So, with all of that kind of wrapping up our show, anything that you want to add before I take us into our what we're going to make a regular segment, our Come On Bro
oh
segment?
yes, I'm excited. Yeah,
What,
get a little energy in this place.
yes, what made you say, come on, bro, throughout the week this week? It can be sports, pop culture, personal, whatever you want to do. You want me to start it or you want to go first?
Go ahead. Let me think about this because I actually didn't prepare at all for this, even though you told me to.
Okay. Well,
Um,
mine is kind of just a little thing that I have noticed watching sports, and it's happened forever, but I'm sure everybody will know exactly what I'm talking about. The commentator jinx. I'm a I'm a golf guy. I love watching golf, and it never fails when you've got Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy standing over a 5-foot putt. The commentator comes on and says, "Scotty has not missed a putt inside of 5 feet all week. He's made his last 25 putts, and he steps up there and misses it." And then the commentator says, "It's not. It wasn't me, but obviously there's something."
yeah,
Happens every time. This guy's a 90% free throw shooter. He's got to make it to tie the game. He hasn't missed in his last 20 attempts, and he misses it. That's
I
one of the,
noticed that a lot in the tournament this year, actually,
every
multiple times.
like, come on, bro, don't. You know you're gonna screw him over. That's my come on, bro. I just was thinking of that. I was complaining about it watching sports this week, and I was like, I gotta air my grievance about it.
I actually noticed that a lot. Like I said in the tournament this year, announcers very self-aware about to jinx a player, and it absolutely happened every time. I thought I noticed that probably 3 or 4 times this year. I realized it was kind of a trend, an interesting little trend that I noticed.
Yeah,
Um,
said they're self-aware. Just wait till they shoot the free throw before you say something, because you turn
yeah,
around and mention that you're not the reason they missed it. Well, we don't know for sure now
now
because,
we don't know. Sure. Uh,
as
so
Michael would say, I'm not a superstitious guy, but I am a little stitious.
exactly, exactly, yes. Man, what is my come on bro moment for the week? I really wish I could have prepared for this or should have prepared for this. But um,
If you want another one, I'll give you Tennessee, Houston, Chaz Lanier's first shot of the day and air ball. And
oh yeah, Duff.
again, come, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right off the well, that was the thing I should have mentioned earlier. Right off the, you know, the it just right off the bat, it just was like, oh no, this is going to be one of those, and it was. It was so bad. Um, you know what? I'll do non-sports related since we are beat up bros, two dads, two bros doing a podcast. Um, this is for all you dads out there. Um, I why does every time you try to feed a child when they say they're not hungry, immediately once every bit of food is received or the lack thereof at a restaurant, they are immediately hungry? Come on, bro. Come on.
We go through this constantly.
Dads out there, I cannot be the only one.
When we go out to eat, almost every time we go out to eat, we run into a situation where we are not hungry anymore because there's too much stuff to do. And then as soon as we get home, we turn around and eat everything that we took in our to-go box because we're starving. And the fear of missing out, I'm right there with you. It's amazing that now I'm not hungry, but of course I'm hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, man, I if I had a nickel for every time, I mean, I've got to the point where I just get things. I'll just get things. I'm ordering you something, and if you don't eat it, that's fine. But I know this is Dad 101 here, but man, I have ran into this situation so many times. I just come on, bro. Are you kidding me? Can you can you I think it's the absolute FOMO for sure. Um, but yeah, I ran into that recently. It was just kind of funny to me, just a little dad thing there that I realized. You never do everything right, but if you can do most things right, you're going to be fine as a dad. So, um, your kids aren't going to go hungry; they're just going to say they are. So, there's a little heartwarming dad tip for you.
Yeah, and the good thing
You're
is
doing fine.
now
All
you've
right.
got over, so when they decide they're hungry, you've got it already anyway.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I don't know, man. Other than all these Teslas getting scratched, or I mean, I think the world seems pretty fun right now. I have no come on bro moments at the moment.
Yeah, we'll see.
Um,
I'm sure that this weekend in sports will find a way to give us something. I mean, who knows? Like you said, the way that the world is running, it could be anything at any time, any day. That just makes you say, what is happening? So, yeah, I'm sure there will be plenty of material for next week. And
yes, I'll be prepared next week. I'll be sure I find a good one that really grinds my gears, as Peter Griffin would say.
yeah,
Um,
it is, it'll happen inevitably. Something will happen in our lives to make us shake our heads, make us say, come on, bro. And that will be what we talk about next week, along with the Final Four. Who knows what else happens in sports this week? It's sports, so anything could happen. We appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you for episode 3 as we continue on this journey. Hope you enjoy. If you have anything you want us to talk about, anything that made you say, come on, bro, throw it in the comments. We appreciate you watching. Like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to make this a weekly thing. We'll see you next week. Until next time.